Drey Jameson. Drey, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us, man.
How's it going?
We are doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
How was your off season so far? With considering the excitement over the last year in your career.
Yeah, it was good. Relaxed, and just spent time with the family, the girlfriend, and just relaxed for the most part.
Yeah, it's not a long enough off season, that's for sure. So you got to get that time in.
No.
Drey, we were just out at Salt River Fields. They did a demonstration of some of the new rules that are being put into place in 2023, and honestly, our heads hurt. Just all the information being thrown at us and all the particularities of how things work. How is this for you? I mean, I know maybe you've gotten some experience with some of these things down in the minor leagues, so maybe you're a little more familiar than most, but. Is it a little bit challenging just mentally, not only thinking about all the things that you've had to think about in the past when you're on the mound, but all of these new changes that are coming?
Yeah, I mean, I've dealt with some of them, as of last year, playing in Double A, then Triple A, then finally getting my start in the big leagues. To be completely honest with you, I don't know every single change that's happened. I just pick a ball up every fifth day and go out there and compete. But for the most part, I mean, the time, like the little clock thing, like I've had that in AAA. It's kind
Yeah.
of in my eyes is like a pitcher's advantage because you're rushing the hitter to get into a swing, or if they took a bad swing, not to get that deep breath, they have to get right back in the box.
Sure.
But as a pitcher, it's tough as well too because when you need to, step off, take a breather, you can't really do that. So, but for me, it's more of like when you get into a groove and you're feeling it, like a hitter can't mess up that groove by sitting out too long and stuff like that. But all the other rules that they've applied, I honestly couldn't sit here and talk about them because I don't really know.
The demonstration they did today, they did show us the pitch clock. They showed us like stepping in and out. Like they kind of discussed all the nuances about it, and I think that was what had our head spinning. Is it seems like it is a lot of information, but then at the end of the day, it really felt like if you as a pitcher just kind of don't take that time, that you won't really run into any of these time frames that they're kind of setting up. I mean, they got on the mound and kind of showed us how long like 8 seconds is to stand there and stare down a batter until the pitch clock ran out, and it seemed kind of ridiculous for that much time. So it doesn't really feel like aside, like you said, aside from like some of the pickoff attempts and some of stepping out and stepping back in and when that clock starts, it really doesn't feel like you guys are impacted too much, at least with the length of the pitch clock.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with that for sure. And I don't know if they're applying the pickoff rules. You have two pickoffs, and then the third one if it's
Yeah.
not a.
Right.
Is that a
Yeah, that's
thing?
what they were discussing. Yeah, they were saying like if the third one
That's a
isn't
little
successful,
frustrating. Yeah,
yeah,
that one's a little frustrating. Like I said, I had that in AAA as well. Just for the fact of like you pick off twice and it gives that runner an advantage in a way because it's like, okay, I can get off more, but I still have to know I have to get back. But at the same time, it's their jumps can be way bigger than a
Yeah.
normal jump. I honestly don't think that rule's going to apply that long just because it's kind of tough. Like we can do the pitch clock, we can do all that, but at the same time, you got to play baseball. And the
yeah.
way the way that game was written up a long time ago is it's hard to go away from it. So I don't know.
That's
We'll see how that goes.
and I think that's what we thought was it really does take away some of that. I feel like some of that freedom that you kind of have. They talked about obviously impacting the game in a positive way to have more action occurring more regularly instead of obviously some the downtime baseball can have. But we agree with you. It did seem not only a bit, I guess, extreme to have that few of pickoff attempts, right, based on the speed of some batters, but also having that kind of math going on in your head while you're out there trying to pitch seems
Yeah.
like a lot.
I mean, it's part of a lot of people's games too. Like you slow the game down and you have to
Yeah.
control the run game, and believe it or not, controlling the run game is huge. Like when you can control the run game, then you're not giving up those stolen bases to then put guys in scoring position. And I think that this rule is definitely going to be something that a lot of guys are going to struggle with. I'm also not a guy that really focuses much on pickoffs,
Yeah.
but more of being quick to home plate to then giving my catcher a good chance to throw him out at second. So,
Drey, I want to talk about the season that you had last year. Great start for you in Double A. You moved to Triple A pretty early in the season. We all know. I mean, we don't know personally, but it's difficult to pitch in that environment, right? And it's difficult to pitch in Amarillo as well.
not easy.
You eventually get up to the big leagues, and suddenly, you have a sub-2 ERA. It's hard to really ask for anything more than what you were able to do in those few starts at the end of the year. Just what was that season like for you, pitching in all those different environments, and what kind of clicked once you got to the big leagues?
Yeah, I mean, in Double A, the park's short, ball flies. Um, and I mean, not knocking Double A at all, because it's each level you go to, some guys dominate and some guys struggle, and then they go to the next level and they dominate. And I went to Triple A and struggled like no other. Um, but yeah, I mean, Double A is kind of like I was throwing really hard at the time. And then when I got promoted to Triple A, it was I felt like a lot of the same type of hitters that were in Double A, but more advanced. So you had a lot of free swingers in Triple A,
Mm.
but also had a plan. So it was not anyone that's like, all right, I'm gonna take a pitch up and out. They were gonna swing at it, but at the same time as they were more advanced hitters to get to that pitch, rather than in Double A, you had guys that were just swinging at that pitch that had no business swinging at that pitch. Um, and Triple A, I mean, believe it or not, the ball just flies.
Oh,
Yeah,
we are aware.
we've heard.
And it's frustrating as a pitcher because it's like you beat someone and they get rewarded
Yeah,
because right field is just blowing out.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's hit or miss. It's hard as a pitcher to be able to take that in and be like, okay, well, I beat him. That was a good pitch. I just got beat. Because in all sense, you didn't get beat. He got lucky. And don't get me wrong, I've gotten got. Like,
Yeah.
I've had
Yeah.
we're like, whoa, like that ball was sent. And then when I got the call to the big leagues, it's just different. I think it just brings out the best that you have. And yeah, I just went in there like nothing, like I'm supposed to be there, and just went out there and competed, and the numbers showed for themselves.
Yeah, you were great there, and we know that obviously the Diamondbacks have a legend in Brent Strom when it comes to a pitching coach. How has it been working with him, and what kind of impact did he have on your progression up to the big league level?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I got to the big leagues, there wasn't much that he was like trying to change. His thing was just go out and do what you know how to do, like believe in your stuff and throw your slider. Um, so when I went out there, that's what I did. I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't trying to throw it 105. I wasn't trying to overdo anything.
Yeah.
I was just going out there and doing what I know how to do best, and whatever happens, happens. And he's a firm believer on that. Now he's telling me to throw the slider more, throw the slider more. Obviously, keep the four seam up, sinker down, and things like that. But for the most part, like pitch shapes, there's no new pitch shapes that he's actually wanted me to do. But besides location wise of each pitch, this is where it's benefiting, and this is where you're having the most success with this pitch to this pitch to this pitch.
How thick was his file on you? Would he have a giant binder for you, or what was that like?
No, just scouting reports and just
Okay.
go out there and compete, you know.
That's awesome.
Drey, I remember one of the things that Stromy said about you when you were first called up was he addressed kind of the stereotype that a big league starter needs to have this certain build. They need to be 6'3" or higher or something like that. He basically said that doesn't apply to you because you're so incredibly athletic that you just kind of rise above all of those things. Is that kind of how you view that as well?
I mean, I've obviously been told that I'm really athletic. But in all honesty, I just think it's my competitiveness. Like, I just don't think anyone's going to outcompete me. And I hate losing. And it doesn't matter if it's out on the field, if it's playing chess, if it's playing ping pong, it doesn't matter. I hate losing. So I think my competitive drive is really what has gotten me this far in baseball and in life.
Does that carry over to you beating Corbin Carroll in a foot race, not once, but twice?
I mean, I already knew that was going to happen. I already knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, we needed confirmation on these rumors about you beating him twice, and also about you standing flat-footed and dunking a basketball while under the hoop without like a running start. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Oh wow! All right, well we need video of that for sure.
I got you.
Drey, from just like a pitch arsenal standpoint, I know adding the sinker, that's a little bit more of a recent addition for you. That seems like it's been a really big pitch. Once you got to the big leagues, your ground ball rate was very, very high. And just for me as a kind of a pitcher analyst, anytime you see a guy with a lot of whiffs along with a really high ground ball rate, it's really exciting. There's a lot of potential there. Just from a pitch arsenal standpoint, are there any other weapons that you're working on? Anything you're looking to add this coming season?
I'm working the sinker wise it ranged in the big leagues at least because I started playing with it a little bit. Early on, like when I was in AA and AAA, I was just throwing the crap out of it, and it would be anywhere from 94 to 100, and wow. I was trying to find that media, or I don't know how you would say it, but I was trying to find that ground point of this is when it's the best. And so when I got to the big leagues, I was ranging my sinker anywhere from 84 to 97. And it's almost like I was working on it as a changeup because as of right now, like that's one of my off-season goals is to get the changeup really working and be effective. So I almost went towards like the sinker, that slow sinker, because it has the same movement as my changeup, but I can just vary the speeds on it.
Right.
And my slider is I have like 3 sliders, so it's not just one specific slider that's going to be the same all the time. I have 3, the one that goes horizontal, one that's got a little more depth, and one that's like really sweepy. And then the curveball is just something that I'm going to start guys off with early. It's not really a put away pitch,
sure,
because I just don't want to waste a pitch. That's probably my 5th best pitch. Rather go to the slider. But yeah, well, the sinkers has definitely been a pitch that I've only thrown for a year. I just picked up on it not long ago, and it's a pitch that I've been working on getting to the front hip to lefties to come back onto the dish, and then backdooring it, and then top shelf coming back on. So it's like I miss a heater up, throw the sinker up, and then it falls back into the zone. Things like that, but not really changing the arsenal much, no.
We discussed watching your performances last year that you game plan. It seemed like you game planned well for your opponents, and it felt like you kind of changed things up from start to start. Is that kind of an important emphasis for you, or were you just kind of focusing on different pitches from start to start?
Yeah, I got the scouting reports, and I saw like who does what good and who does what not good. I don't go away from my strengths, but I take my strengths into where they're not doing. Like if a guy can't hit an up and in fastball, I'm not going to throw a down and away fastball. And so I just go to my strengths of, okay, why not just pound it up, harden into him? And if I don't have that pitch that day, then I'll have something that looks there, such as like the sinker. It'll start there, they swing, and it falls into him. But yeah, for the most part, I just try to mix my pitches. That's the main thing. Early on in my pro career, I was heavy forcing fastball. Some games I'd be 70% fastballs.
Yeah.
Well, when you move up the ladder, you know that it doesn't matter if you throw 88 or you throw 105. If you throw them 70% fastballs, these guys get paid for a living to hit. They're gonna catch up to your stuff, and they're gonna put some bats on it.
Last thing for me, Drey. It's an interesting situation coming into spring training with all of the different starting pitchers that this team has, right? It seems like there's sort of a competition being set up coming into spring training. I know some of the other guys in this race are guys that you know well: Ryan Nelson, Brandon Pfaadt, Tommy Henry, and the list goes on with some of the veterans on the team as well. How are you approaching this spring training, just coming in knowing that you sort of have to prove something here in order to get the role you ultimately want?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I just got to go out and compete. and I'm going to do everything in my power to get that spot. But at the end of the day, it's ultimately out of my. It's not my decision.
Sure.
I'm going to put the work in. I'm going to do what I need to do it. But at the end of the day, I don't make the call on who's going to be there, who's not. But ultimately, if whatever happens, I just hope that it's the right decision in a winning ball game standpoint and not a business standpoint.
Yeah, we agree with that, and I think that we know that you guys are a very young, exciting team, and I know that you have had a chance to play with a lot of your teammates now that are on the major league roster as well. Has that kind of made the transition for you easier? That this Diamondbacks franchise is kind of moving in a direction where you guys are all around the same age, and you guys have played together in the minors, and just kind of a fresh roster as far as the young faces on this team.
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and there's cons to that. I see a lot of guys that I grew up and playing in pro ball from the beginning, come up with me or I go up with them. Like
Yeah.
it's easy, it's an easy thing to do. But at the same time as when I did get to the big league level, we don't have that many like vets that, can show you around. And the ones that are there, they did a great job at it, and I'm glad of that. But at the end of the day, it's like it's kind of cool as a young player getting called up, and then you play with guys that you've watched on TV.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's kind of cool, that didn't necessarily have, but at the end of the day, it's as long as we're winning games and doing what we need to do, then we're going to leave a legacy behind for the other guys coming up.
There we go. I love that. I can't let you get out of here without getting your best piece of advice for guys on Valentine's Day. Do you have any Valentine's Day advice for guys that might be struggling this late in the day at this point?
Well, you need to go and get some flowers.
There you go.
And
Do
then
the
maybe
thing.
make them, do a nail thing, go get their nails done, and then finish it off with a good dinner.
There you go. All right.
All
Our
right.
producer is nodding emphatically, so she is very much in favor of your advice. But hey, we look forward to seeing you this year, man. It was a blast last year, and this team it looks like it's going to be very fun to watch this season.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
we'll see
Drey.
Thank you.